Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bedfordshire Gamers YouTube channel. My name is Smitty6166, and this is Kerbal Space Program. And recently the update has hit, so with that in mind, it kind of got rid of my save. I could bring it back to the previous one, but I decided not to. Instead, I went ahead and launched some probes into space to make sure the new physics and that were all working, and I decided to launch some probes, and I got the furthest one to Juna, and I will show you that next week. I think it will be fair to do so. This week I decided to try and land on the moon. As you can see, my probes are all floating around in the Kerbal system. So, with that in mind, we shall go over the lunar launch procedure. Now the plan is to get up, you produce a stable orbit, then expand your orbit further out, then orbit the moon, and then come in again. But I have found a slightly easier way to do so. This is how I did it in amazingly 2 takes. So obviously the first little bit there, this is my standard rocket design. This is modified from Scott Manley, I believe is the YouTube channel name, and he does a lot of Kerbal Space Program stuff and general rocket science stuff in base games as well. I think there's a couple more on his channel. Shamelessly plugging another channel, but hopefully good karma will come back onto me. So yeah, there we go. Just listing off my design for the rocket here. So I'm on to the final stage, which will get us towards the moon, hopefully, and then the lander part at the end there, which will just get us to the moon, and it's just going to leave us there. I had no intention of coming back at all. I didn't put a parachute on this or anything. This was going to be a one-way trip, regardless. So there we go. I'm just adjusting my orbit and then trying to remember which way the moon went, and completely failing. Was it this way? No. That way? No. This way? No. This way? Yes. There we go. And that's when I had to burn and everything. So getting myself prepped for that, deploying the solar panel so I don't run out of power, which is normally my Achilles heel in Kerbal Space Program. I'll go to do a maneuver and forget to. Don't know why oh, that was why. Yeah, the game bugged out for me and it locked its focus onto Kerbal, not onto the pod. So I had to go back and fix it once I got out and into the sort of furthest part of my orbit. And as you can see here, this is where I went wrong as well. Whilst we're at this juncture there. Proper words here, Brian. So as you can see, I had a pretty good line into the moon already. It was pretty much going to be straight in, straight out. But for some reason, I decided to burn my fuel unnecessarily on correcting it when I didn't really need to. And of course, just to show off a little bit, I decided to give Bob here a nice little fly around, stretch the legs, going back in, and folded away the ladder. Now for the daring do of the lunar landing. This is where things went kinda tits up. And the reason is I didn't really focus on the task at hand. All in all, this is the best landing site I could ever ask for. Every time I try and land on the moon, I always end up in a crater or on the side of the crater, and everything goes wrong. This was going to be perfectly flat and level. I could not have asked for better. But of course, I got a bit panicky because I'd already burned my fuel down to half the tank, and this was the major problem of going down to half a tank. So I deployed the ladder. I was getting myself ready for imminent explosive failure. As we can see, I'm slowly floating, throttle up. Oh no, wait, my fuel's running out. Just keep the throttle on. Now I can't control it. I'm going to run out of fuel before I hit the bottom, completely miscalculating my impact velocity, and I squashed Bob under his own lander. So that was genius. It was absolute genius. So with that in mind, Jebediah took to the rocket in this case, and you can see the full design. And again, this is going as the previous one at like 6 times normal speed. So I just sped it up so that we didn't see all this. At least I can give you a nice decent rundown of the design here. So it's got the standard Mark 1 pod, it's got the small fuel tank underneath it, and it's got the big F700s, I think they are. Don't know why I paused there, I think the doorbell's going. But yeah, so it's big F100 fuel tank, and then 2 solid rocket boost is about the same length, and that gives me sort of that initial jump up. And then when I'm about halfway through those, I turn on the engines and get them up to power as well, so that way when I go to drop the solid fuel boosters, I'm trying to gauge my throttle about right, my acceleration is continuing, instead it's actually dropping. But of course I'm going super fast. I miss my gravitational turn, but it's not all for naught, because I've got plenty of fuel to get me out into space and into orbit. Hopefully. I can't remember when I put in the jump cut to me going into orbit. But again, you know, the usual rules apply. When you're going into orbit, you don't want to exceed 250 meters a second until you're past 10,000 meters and you start your turn. Then you can start pumping the power in, and that will give you the launch necessary. And ideally, you also don't want to sort out your orbit until you're around about, your apoapsis is around about 60,000 meters. So when you go to extend it, your periapsis will be about 60,000 meters on the return swing. So it's all fairly smooth and balanced. There we go, dropping that secondary stage, and here we go. This is the bit I was on. This is stage 2 to try and land on the moon. I'm tightening my orbit here. I'm flying in. I think I've still got the second stage attached to me. I can't even remember now, but we'll find out anyway. This is the way you're meant to do it. I think I actually might have done this backwards. I think you have to aim for your apoapsis to go into it, not your periapsis. I cannot honestly remember for the life of me. So there we go, just time warping up a little bit here to just bring us in. And I kept slowing down my velocity during this stage. It was, considering what happened last time, and I've got plenty of fuel to do it as well, so I felt a bit more confident in my plan, as it were, to come in at an angle and try and land on a similar point to last time. So I landed on like a nice smooth patch of the lunar surface and not slam into the side, going at 200 odd meters a second. So there we go, Jebediah's amazed that he's managed to get this far and not blow up, because every time Jebediah's been on a mission, the rocket has exploded on him. He's just bad luck. Really, I should have gone with Jebediah from the start. We might have avoided all this and we might have got to the moon in one take. But hey, there you go. So there we go, tightening in the orbit a little bit here, trying to adjust everything, flicking between the surface and orbital view for some reason. I don't know why. I should have really stuck to the orbit one until I got to the surface. And now this is where things go. I think it was here. No, my jump cut was somewhere else. So yeah, I suppose really actually now is a good time to explain why I did this in post. I recorded this a little bit earlier on today, and where I live we had a thunderstorm, and it killed the power. Now thankfully Fraps managed to save the video, but Audacity lost the audio, so I had to deal with what I had. So hey, there we go. So there we go, we're now adjusting our orbit, trying to slow ourselves down here, burning fuel. I suppose Scott would say it's kind of meaninglessly, but who knows? He's a lot better at this game than I am. I mean, I can only just about make it to the moon, let alone make it to the moon and back. I suppose really once I get a Pro-Brown Ike, I'll try and send a lander to Minmus, and we'll spread our Kerbals across this wideness of space at some point. So we'll have a Kerbal in every world, and then they'll breed like orcs in the Warhammer 40k universe. So it'll just be like some sentient fungi. So there we go, I'm killing off my lateral velocity here, so I'm not going across the ground as quickly. Really, I'm trying to make my velocity more vertical, so the plan is I literally just go straight down onto the planet's surface. And I can tell already that I've ballsed myself up, and I didn't realise this at the time, because if you look, there is this massive edge to the crater with all the little craters in it, and without even realising it, what I'm doing is I'm setting myself up to essentially land slap bang on the top of that crater rim, and I know that's pretty darn steep. I can already see things going horrifically wrong. There we go, yep, called it as well. I'm going to land on top of that crater. It's all going to go bad. I really should have waited. My impatience will be the death of me. It was just a nice slow descent now for Jebediah. Eventually he will make it to the lunar surface, and he shall be all fine and dandy. Possibly. Maybe. Never. We'll see anyway. Still drifting. Still drifting. Still drifting. Still drifting. Still drifting. Eventually we'll make it down. This was a very slow descent. I apologise for that. I thought I time skipped this bit. Obviously I didn't. But anyway, at least you can see how to descend safely to the moon. As you can see, I was keeping my velocity around about the 160 mark, checking to make sure the orbit and surface retrograde burns are about the same position. That way I know I could just safely leave my SAS locked in there, into the position it's in now, and then we'll sort, I can just keep the burn on gently. And there we go, burn a little bit too much there, something I didn't want to do, coming in a little bit faster, time warping in, just adjusting myself as we go, knowing that all hell will break loose momentarily, because whenever I get to this point, there we go, see, things switch around. And I was preparing for the surface view. There we go, a nice steady 25 meters a second. What could possibly go wrong? There we go. Get to the surface. I'm actually falling at 100. Oh dear, quick. Panic burns, panic burns. Trying to sort of adjust my flight a little bit here using the sort of game speed time warp there to make my landing a little bit quicker, but I can't correct at that speed because it jerks the craft around a wee bit. So I'm coming down. At the time I thought, yeah, this is great, this is a nice smooth landing site, doesn't look too bad at all. There's a few rocks scattered around twinkling like stars in the night. And there we go, slowly coming down, putting on some throttle, noticing my fuel is running remarkably low, not even level either, and I'm actually about to lose it if I'm not careful. I'm saving as much as I can for this inevitable drop over the next few thousand meters or so. Got it on a nice slow trickle just to balance myself out, because that small engine when you're trying to land is incredibly efficient. So there we go, feeling confident. I prep the communication dish, ready to send those first transmissions back to Kerbal to say that Jebediah has landed and he has avenged poor Bob. And we shall see. There we go, 4003, 4002, 4001. Full throttle burn, and I overburn it, I panic, I'm on barely fumes, and touchdown. Oh, stick the landing, no! Ah! Tuck and roll, tuck. And this is where things are a bit crazy. Now we see breakdancing in a command pod down the lunar landscape. And this isn't looking any better whatsoever. I'm trying to stick the landing. Just no, overcorrecting. Now I'm just pirouetting and walking down the lunar surface. This is where things went really quite bad. And there we go, trying to adjust. Yes, lean back, stick the landing. No, come on, no. Oh dear. Oh well. I was so panicky about landing on the capsule top, I didn't even notice that my speed was like absolutely nothing. So I decided to pull off the lunar trick here, which is I was going to let the craft settle at the bottom of the hill. And it was at this point I wondered, what is like for Jebediah? Sky, land, scraping down the side of the lunar surface. Slowly picking up speed. Worried about losing that communication dish. Didn't really want to. Ideally, I wanted to keep that. That way I can keep my position broadcasts. And then I could quite possibly get help sent to rescue poor Jebediah. I tried to time skip this as well, but I can't, because I'm essentially tobogganing down a hill. So instead I do the sort of game speed time up, not the physics time up. And there we go, I decided to do the lunar bug. Well, I'll say lunar bug. I abuse the gravity a bit with the struts, and it gives me enough lift to launch off the ground and stick the landing. So there we go, we shall extend the ladder. after what has got to be the most horrendous flight of his life. Even poor Jebediah can't keep hold of the ladder. And there we go. Nice little lunar surface jump. Flick the lights on. Check the inspection. And we've lost quite a lot really on this flight. We lost one Kerbal, and then we have one on the moon that has no sort of solar generation whatsoever. It's got a limited battery supply, and it also has no fuel. So we shall instead mark our victory here and point the flight the right way. There we go. And we shall name this site. I think Lunar Site 1. Lunar Lander. Oh no, sorry. Moon Lander 1. Oh, sorry. Moon Landing Site. No, that seems like a stupid idea. Yeah, I did call it Mun Landing 1. And finally landed for you, Bob. For you, Bob Kerman. I was about to write Jebediah then, but no, it's Bob Kerman. And that was that. So there we go, we have now landed on the moon, all is well and fine and dandy. So if you like this, remember to like, favourite, subscribe and all that YouTube jazz. I will see you next week for another Kerbal Space Program. Until then, I'll probably see you guys Friday for a League of Legends shoutcast. Bye bye.